Ladies and gentlemen, friends and beautiful souls, today I stand before you to remind you of something that is often lost in the chaos of life. You are enough, just as you are right now, in this moment. The world is constantly pushing us to look outward, to seek approval, validation, and acceptance from others. But I urge you today to turn that gaze inward. It's easy to get distracted by what others think, by how they live, or by what they have accomplished. We measure our worth by their successes, their opinions, their standards. But here's the truth that I've learned through every trial and every triumph. Your journey is unique. It is your path, your growth, your purpose. No one can walk it for you, and no one can define it but you. You see, the key to fulfillment, to happiness, to real peace lies in letting go of comparisons. When you stop looking around and start looking within, that's when you discover your true power. It's when you stop measuring your life by the yardsticks of others and create your own that you truly begin to soar. We are constantly bombarded with images of what success should look like. It's easy to get caught in the illusion that someone else's life is perfect, that they have it all together, or that they are more deserving. But the truth is, the moment you focus on yourself, on your dreams, on your growth, on your values, you liberate yourself from that toxic cycle. Who you are worthy of your own love, your own time, your own energy. If we spend all our lives trying to be like someone else, we will never get the chance to see who we were truly meant to be. It is in the pursuit of self-awareness, of self-love, of understanding your own potential that you unlock the door to everything you have ever dreamed of. So what does it mean to focus on yourself? It means setting boundaries that protect your peace. It means knowing your worth and never compromising on your values. It means accepting your flaws, embracing your imperfections, and loving yourself fully. It means knowing that every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. And if you have more to share, even if it's a false statement, is it helping people or is it corrupting people? We are all evolving, all learning, all growing, and sometimes that means we need to silence the noise, drown out the judgments, and remind ourselves that our worth is not defined by others. It's defined by the love, the courage, and the resilience we cultivate within. Focus on yourself. Embrace your uniqueness. Let your passion drive you. Stop seeking permission from others to shine, because you were born to shine. You were born to live a life that is true to you. And when you begin to focus on your own journey, you'll find that the light within you will be brighter than anything the world could ever offer. So let go of the pressure to meet anyone else's expectations. Let go of the need to compete. Let go of the fear of being judged. And instead, embrace yourself. Know that you are enough. You are worthy. And in focusing on yourself, you give yourself the greatest gift, the freedom to be exactly who you were meant to be. Focusing on your own journey and embracing your uniqueness is one of the most powerful decisions you can make in life. We live in a world that is often obsessed with comparison. From the moment we wake up and scroll through social media, we are bombarded by images of what success should look like, what happiness should feel like, and what we should be striving for. Everywhere we turn, someone seems to be living a life that is better, more fulfilling, more polished, more complete. And in the midst of this, it's easy to lose sight of who we are and what we want for ourselves. We start measuring our lives against other people's lives, and in doing so, we overlook the incredible value of our own unique path. Embracing your uniqueness means rejecting the idea that you have to live like anyone else. It's about understanding that the life you are building for yourself, the person you are becoming, is worthy in its own right, independent of anyone else's definition of success. When we embrace our uniqueness, we start to live more authentically. We start trying to fit into molds or meet external standards that aren't aligned with our true selves. Instead, we start defining what success means to us, what fulfillment looks like for us, and what happiness feels like within our own lives. The truth is, there is no one-size-fits-all approach to life. Every person's journey is different, and that's what makes it so beautiful. You have your own set of experiences, strengths, weaknesses, dreams, and passions that make you who you are, and no one else can replicate that. Your story is yours alone, and it has its own unique trajectory. No matter how similar your path may seem to others, it will never be the same. The way you see the world, the way you handle challenges, the way you experience joy, these things are deeply personal and individual to you. When you start to embrace this truth, you begin to let go of the pressure to conform to someone else's expectations. You no longer feel the need to compete, to measure up, or to prove your worth based on other people's achievements. Instead, you focus on what makes you happy, what challenges you, and what excites you. You begin to understand that your uniqueness is not something to be hidden or minimized, but something to be celebrated. It's a thing that will set you apart, that will make your life rich with meaning, and that will allow you to stand out in a world that is often trying to make everyone fit into the same mold. This shift in perspective is crucial. Society tells us that in order to be successful, we must follow a prescribed set of rules. We are told that in order to be happy, we must have certain things, achieve certain milestones, or meet certain standards. But when we start to focus on our own journey and embrace what makes us unique, we start to see that true fulfillment doesn't come from meeting someone else's expectations. It comes from living life on our own terms, from following our own passions, from being true to ourselves, no matter what anyone else is doing. When you embrace your uniqueness, you also begin to stop caring about the judgments of others. It's easy to fall into the trap of worrying about what people think of you. We are all guilty of seeking approval, of hoping to be liked or admired by others. But when you focus on your own journey, when you truly embrace who you are, the opinions of others no longer hold the same weight. You begin to realize that their judgments have no bearing on your worth. The only opinion that truly matters is your own. But this isn't to say that you should disregard the opinions of others entirely. Constructive feedback and advice can be valuable, and we can all learn from the people around us. But the key is to differentiate between advice that helps us grow and the noise that holds us back. The noise that says we aren't enough. The noise that says we should be like someone else. When you embrace your uniqueness, you stop listening to that noise and start trusting in your own instincts and desires. In addition, embracing your uniqueness means honoring your own pace. We often put pressure on ourselves to keep up with others, to match their pace, to achieve the same milestones at the same time. But the truth is, we all move at different speeds, and that's perfectly okay. Your journey is not a race. There is no timeline you must adhere to. Just because someone else is ahead of you doesn't mean you are falling behind. Life is not about how fast you go, but about moving in a way that feels right for you. You will face challenges and setbacks, but these will only help you grow and evolve. And when you embrace your own pace, you allow yourself the freedom to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow at a rate that aligns with your own values and circumstances. One of the most empowering aspects of embracing your uniqueness is the freedom it gives you to pursue your passions. Too often, we suppress our own desires and dreams because we think they aren't practical, or we fear they won't be accepted by others. But when we stop comparing ourselves to others and start focusing on what we truly want, we give ourselves permission to go after what excites us. Whether it's starting a business, pursuing a creative project, traveling the world, or simply dedicating time to something that brings you joy, embracing your uniqueness allows you to create a life that aligns with your heart's true desires. And that's when you begin to experience real fulfillment. Embracing your uniqueness also means accepting yourself fully, flaws and all. We live in a world that often tells us to be perfect, to have it all together, to present a flawless image of ourselves. But the truth is, no one is perfect, and trying to be perfect is exhausting and unsustainable. When you embrace your uniqueness, you accept your imperfections, your mistakes, and your vulnerabilities. You allow yourself to be human. You allow yourself to make mistakes and learn from them, to stumble and rise again. Your flaws do not define you. They are simply part of your journey, part of what makes you uniquely you. As you continue to focus on your own journey and embrace your uniqueness, you also begin to cultivate a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for who you are, for the experiences that have shaped you, and for the opportunities that lie ahead. When you stop comparing yourself to others, you start to see the blessings in your own life. You realize that there is no need to chase someone else's dreams when your own are just as valuable, just as worthy of pursuit. Gratitude shifts your perspective from one of lack to one of abundance, and it helps you appreciate the beauty of your own path. In addition, embracing your uniqueness allows you to connect more deeply with others. When you are comfortable with who you are, when you are living authentically, you attract people who appreciate and value you for the person you truly are. You create connections based on mutual respect and understanding, not based on pretense or the need to impress. You allow others the space to be themselves too, and in doing so, you create deeper, more meaningful relationships. The more you embrace your own uniqueness, the more you encourage others to do the same. As you walk your path and embrace your individuality, remember that your journey is not about being better than anyone else. It's not about competing for attention or validation. It's about being the best version of yourself and living in alignment with your true self. When you embrace your uniqueness, you give yourself permission to stand tall, to be proud of who you are, and to pursue your dreams with confidence. Your uniqueness is your superpower. It is the thing that will set you apart, that will inspire others, and that will allow you to make a difference in the world in a way that only you can. So stop measuring yourself against others. Stop letting comparison steal your joy. Instead, focus on your own path, your own growth, and your own purpose. Your life is yours to create, and the beauty of it lies in the fact that it will always be uniquely yours. In a world where social media is at the forefront of our daily lives and success is often measured by outward accomplishments, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others. We see the curated, polished versions of people's lives, and it becomes all too easy to feel like we're falling behind, not doing enough, or that we're simply not measuring up. However, one of the most liberating and empowering things you can do is to let go of comparisons and stop measuring your worth against others. This act of releasing comparison frees you from unnecessary pressure and opens the door to living a life that is true to your own values, desires, and potential. The first thing to understand is that comparison is inherently flawed. No two people's lives are the same. Even if two people seem to be on similar paths, their journeys are different in countless ways. Their experiences, perspectives, struggles, and triumphs are unique to them. When we compare ourselves to someone else, we're often seeing only a small part of their story. The highlight reel, the moments of success, the perfect snapshots of life. What we don't see are the countless hours of work, the setbacks, the mistakes, or the internal battles they may face. What we also don't see is that their success or happiness may be built on values, goals, or circumstances that differ completely from our own. And yet, we try to measure our own worth based on a standard that isn't even applicable to our own lives. In many ways, comparison is a thief. It steals our peace of mind, our confidence, and our ability to appreciate where we are in our own lives. When we focus too much on what others are doing, we lose sight of our own progress. Instead of celebrating how far we've come, we become obsessed with where we think we should be, based on the success we see in others. This constant measuring of ourselves against someone else's timeline can make us feel inadequate, even when we are doing our best and moving forward in our own lives. The truth is, everyone has their own journey, and that journey unfolds in its own time. Life is not a race, and there is no set timeline for success. Someone else's achievements do not diminish your potential or your worth. Their accomplishments are simply a reflection of their path, not a gauge of your own capabilities. Just because someone reaches a milestone before you doesn't mean you're failing. It simply means that your path is different, and your moment will come in due time. By letting go of comparison, you free yourself from the pressure of feeling like you need to be in the same place as everyone else, and you create space to focus on your own unique path. Another important aspect of letting go of comparisons is understanding that your value is not determined by someone else's success. It's easy to internalize the idea that we need to achieve the same things as others to feel worthy or important. However, the truth is that success means different things to different people. And what may be considered success for one person may not hold the same weight for you. Your worth is not defined by how much you earn, what job you hold, or how many followers you have on social media. Your value lies in your character, your ability to show up for yourself, your kindness, your resilience, and the way you live your truth. When we stop comparing ourselves to others, we begin to honor our own values and define success on our terms. We start to realize that what brings us fulfillment may not look like what brings someone else joy. And that's perfectly okay. We don't need to have the same career, relationships, or lifestyle as the people around us to feel content and successful. What matters is that we're living a life that feels true to who we are, that aligns with our own passions, and that reflects our personal goals and dreams. By letting go of comparisons, we free ourselves from the need to measure our success against external standards and allow ourselves to live authentically. One of the most harmful aspects of comparison is the way it erodes our self-esteem. When we compare ourselves to others, we often find ourselves coming up short. We look at someone's success and feel like we're not doing enough, like we haven't accomplished enough, or like we haven't reached our potential. This self-criticism, fueled by comparison, leads to feelings of inadequacy and can even cause us to doubt our abilities and question our worth. But it's important to remember that self-esteem is built on self-acceptance, not external validation. When we stop comparing ourselves to others and focus on our own growth, we build a deeper sense of self-worth based on who we are, not how we measure up to anyone else. A powerful way to release the grip of comparison is to cultivate gratitude for where you are and what you have. Instead of looking at what others have accomplished and wishing you were further along in your journey, take a moment to appreciate the progress you've made. Reflect on the challenges you've overcome, the lessons you've learned, and the strength you've built along the way. When you focus on gratitude, it shifts your mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. You begin to recognize that you have everything you need to continue growing and moving forward. By focusing on your own progress rather than comparing it to someone else's, you develop a deeper appreciation for your journey. Additionally, letting go of comparisons allows you to stay focused on what truly matters to you. It can be all too easy to get distracted by what others are doing, but when you stop comparing yourself to them, you create space to invest your time, energy, and attention on the things that align with your passions and purpose. You can concentrate on developing your skills, pursuing your dreams, and becoming the person you are meant to be without getting sidetracked by the pressure to conform to someone else's standards. The beauty of this process is that as you let go of comparisons and focus on your own journey, you begin to realize that everyone has their own struggles, their own dreams, and their own path to follow. When you stop seeing others as competitors or benchmarks, you begin to see them as fellow travelers on this journey called life. You begin to recognize that each person is doing the best they can with the knowledge and resources they have. And instead of feeling jealous or inadequate, you can feel inspired and supportive of their growth while also being kind and patient with your own. Letting go of comparisons is about reclaiming your peace of mind and taking back your power. It's about recognizing that your value doesn't depend on how you measure up to anyone else. When you release the need to compare, you begin to live more authentically, more freely, and with a greater sense of joy. Your life is yours to create, and no one else's path can define your worth or your potential. Setting boundaries is one of the most crucial aspects of maintaining a healthy and fulfilling life. It is often easy to get swept up in the demands of others or the expectations placed on us, and in doing so, we forget to protect our own well-being. Boundaries are not about building walls or creating distance from others. Rather, they are about understanding our limits, honoring our needs, and creating space to prioritize our own mental, emotional, and physical health. Learning to set boundaries is an act of self-care and self-respect, and it is essential for maintaining balance and peace in our lives. One of the key reasons that setting boundaries is so important is that it allows us to establish what is acceptable and what is not in our relationships and interactions. Without clear boundaries, we can find ourselves overwhelmed, exhausted, and frustrated. We might say yes to commitments we don't truly want to make, or we might allow others to take more than we are able to give, simply because we feel obligated. When we set boundaries, we take control over our time, our energy, and our resources. We begin to recognize that it is okay to say no, and that our needs are just as important as the needs of those around us. Setting boundaries is also a way of protecting our emotional well-being. In a world that constantly demands more from us, it can be easy to neglect our emotional health. We may feel pressure to constantly be available to others or to take on tasks that do not align with our values or priorities. Over time, this can lead to burnout, resentment, and a feeling of being drained. By setting emotional boundaries, we allow ourselves the space to care for our own feelings, to express our emotions authentically, and to avoid situations or people that may drain us or make us feel unsafe. Emotional boundaries also help us to avoid being manipulated or taken advantage of by others. They allow us to protect our peace and maintain a sense of stability and emotional strength. Another reason that setting boundaries is so important is that it allows us to communicate our needs clearly. Often we may feel like we need to sacrifice our own needs in order to please others or to avoid conflict. This can lead to feelings of frustration, helplessness, and resentment. When we set clear and healthy boundaries, we are communicating what we need in a way that is respectful and firm. This allows us to honor our own desires and to express them without guilt or fear of rejection. It is important to remember that setting boundaries is not about being selfish. It is about taking care of ourselves so that we can show up as our best selves for others. By setting clear boundaries, we create healthier and more balanced relationships where both our needs and the needs of others are respected. One of the most common reasons people struggle with setting boundaries is fear of confrontation or rejection. We worry that by saying no or expressing our limits, we might hurt someone's feelings or damage the relationship. However, it is important to recognize that setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, and in the long run, it strengthens relationships rather than weakening them. People who truly care about us will understand and respect our boundaries, and those who do not may need to be re-evaluated in terms of their importance in our lives. It's important to understand that it is not our responsibility to make others feel comfortable at the expense of our own well-being. When we set boundaries, we are teaching others how to treat us, and we are modeling healthy behavior for those around us. Setting boundaries also allows us to manage our time more effectively. In today's fast-pacing world, it can be easy to feel like there's never enough time to do everything we need or want to do. Without boundaries, we may find ourselves saying yes to every invitation, every task, and every request, leaving little time for ourselves or the things that truly matter to us. By setting boundaries around our time, we can prioritize what is most important and ensure that we are making space for the things that bring us joy, fulfillment, and peace. This might mean saying no to social events that don't align with our values, setting limits on work hours, or carving out time for rest and self-care. When we set boundaries around our time, we regain control over our lives and are able to focus on what truly brings us happiness and satisfaction. Setting boundaries also contributes to healthier, more respectful relationships with others. It can be easy to fall into patterns of people-pleasing or codependency, where we feel like we need to constantly meet the needs of others in order to be liked or valued. However, this often leads to imbalance and resentment. When we set boundaries, we create a space for mutual respect and understanding. We allow others to be responsible for their own needs and emotions, and we give ourselves permission to take care of our own. Healthy boundaries allow for clearer communication and fewer misunderstandings, creating a foundation for stronger, more authentic connections. Setting boundaries does not mean that we need to be rigid or inflexible. There will be times when we need to adjust our boundaries in response to changing circumstances or the needs of those around us. Boundaries are meant to be flexible, not walls. They should evolve as we grow and as our needs change. Self-love is often misunderstood as an act of vanity or selfishness, but in reality, it is the foundation of a healthy and fulfilling life. To truly love ourselves is to accept ourselves unconditionally, to embrace both our strengths and our flaws, and to recognize our worth regardless of external validation. In a world that constantly places pressure on us to be perfect, to meet certain expectations, and to measure up to unrealistic standards, learning to cultivate self-love is an act of rebellion. It's an act that challenges societal norms and teaches us to be kind to ourselves, to honor our needs, and to recognize that we are deserving of the same love and respect that we so often give to others. At the core of self-love is self-acceptance. It is recognizing that we are imperfect, yet still worthy of love and care. We often get caught up in the idea that we need to be flawless in order to deserve love and respect, but the truth is, it is our imperfections that make us human. We all have areas where we struggle, where we fall short, where we make mistakes. These flaws are not something to be ashamed of. They are an integral part of who we are. Embracing our imperfections is an essential part of cultivating self-love, because when we accept ourselves fully, we free ourselves from the burden of unrealistic expectations. We no longer need to seek perfection or strive for an unattainable ideal. Instead, we can appreciate the person we are right now. with all of our quirks, flaws, and complexities. Self-love also means being compassionate toward ourselves. Life can be challenging, and we all go through difficult times. During these moments, it is easy to become our own harshest critics. We might beat ourselves up for our mistakes, dwell on our shortcomings, or feel as though we are not good enough. But practicing self-compassion means extending the same kindness and understanding to ourselves that we would offer to a close friend who is struggling. It means recognizing that we're doing our best in the face of challenges and that it's okay to make mistakes. It means forgiving ourselves when we fall short, rather than allowing guilt or shame to consume us. Compassion for ourselves helps us move through difficult moments with grace, knowing that we are worthy of love and kindness, regardless of our circumstances. In addition, self-love is about setting boundaries that protect our well-being. When we love ourselves, we recognize that our time, energy, and emotions are precious, and we are not obligated to give them away to people or situations that drain us. Setting boundaries is a way of showing ourselves respect. It's about saying no when something doesn't align with our values or when we are stretched too thin. It's about prioritizing our own needs, even if it means disappointing others. By setting healthy boundaries, we create space for ourselves to recharge, to focus on what truly matters, and to maintain our sense of peace. When we neglect to set boundaries, we allow others to take more from us than we are able to give, and we risk burning out. Self-love means honoring our limits and protecting our energy. Another important aspect of self-love is practicing self-care. Self-care is not just about treating ourselves to a spa day or indulging in a favorite treat, though those things can certainly be part of it. True self-care is about taking intentional actions to nurture our mind, body, and spirit. It involves listening to our bodies and recognizing when we need rest, nourishment, or physical activity. It means engaging in activities that bring us joy and fulfillment, whether that's through creative expression, spending time with loved ones, or pursuing personal passions. Self-care also involves mental and emotional care, taking time to check in with ourselves, to reflect on our feelings, and to process difficult emotions in a healthy way. Self-love means making self-care a priority, not as an afterthought, but as an essential part of maintaining our well-being. Self-love also requires us to stop seeking validation from external sources. In a world that often measures worth based on achievements, appearance, or the opinions of others, it can be difficult to feel truly secure in our own value. But when we rely on external validation to feel good about ourselves, we give away our power. We place our worth in the hands of others, and we allow their opinions or judgments to dictate how we feel about ourselves. Self-love means turning inward and finding validation within. It means recognizing that our worth is inherent and not contingent upon the approval of others. When we love ourselves, we do not need to seek constant reassurance from others because we already know that we are enough. Another vital element of self-love is being kind to ourselves during moments of failure or disappointment. We often treat ourselves more harshly than we would ever treat a friend. When we fail or fall short, we might beat ourselves up, question our abilities, or become consumed by self-doubt. But self-love involves giving ourselves grace during these moments. It means recognizing that failure is not a reflection of our worth, but simply a part of the learning process. When we can approach our mistakes with kindness and understanding, we free ourselves from the paralyzing effects of perfectionism and self-criticism. We allow ourselves to learn, grow, and move forward without being weighed down by past failures. Self-love means embracing our worth and our potential. It means recognizing that we deserve the same love, respect, and success as anyone else. We all have unique gifts, talents, and dreams, and when we love ourselves, we allow ourselves the freedom to pursue them. We stop holding ourselves back out of fear of failure or rejection, and we start to believe in our ability to create the life we desire. Self-love is the foundation of confidence. It allows us to step into the world with courage, knowing that we are worthy of all the good things life has to offer. It means not settling for less than what we deserve and not allowing anyone to diminish our value. Self-love is an ongoing practice, a daily choice to prioritize our own well-being, to honor our needs, and to accept ourselves fully. It is the key to living a life that is true to ourselves, one where we can thrive, grow, and create meaningful connections with others. When we love ourselves, we set the standard for how we expect to be treated by others, and we create a life that reflects our deepest values and desires. Self-love is not a destination, but a journey that leads to greater peace, fulfillment, and joy. Living authentically is one of the most empowering choices you can make in life. It means aligning your actions, values, and beliefs with your true self rather than conforming to societal expectations or seeking approval from others. When we live authentically, we allow ourselves to be exactly who we are without hiding behind a mask or pretending to be someone we're not. This doesn't mean we don't grow or evolve. Rather, it means that we stay true to our core even as we change and develop. Authenticity is about living with integrity, being honest with ourselves, and following a path that feels right for us, regardless of how others may perceive it. The foundation of living authentically begins with self-awareness. In order to live authentically, we must first understand who we truly are, what we value, and what we want from life. This requires introspection and self-reflection, asking ourselves deep questions about what truly matters to us. It's easy to get lost in the noise of the world, to become distracted by what others expect or desire from us. But to live authentically, we need to tune out the external pressures and listen to our inner voice. This may involve disconnecting from social media, taking time alone, or seeking quiet moments where we can reflect on our feelings, our desires, and our purpose. When we have a clear understanding of who we are at our core, we can begin to make choices that are aligned with our true selves. Living authentically also means being brave enough to embrace our uniqueness. The world often tries to mold us into a particular image or standard, telling us what is acceptable, attractive, or successful. But the truth is, there is no one way to live life, and there is no one path to fulfillment. We all have our own unique strengths, challenges, and experiences that shape us into who we are. When we embrace our individuality, we stop trying to fit into someone else's definition of success. Instead, we create our own. Living authentically means recognizing and celebrating what makes us different rather than trying to blend in or conform. It's about being proud of who we are, regardless of how we compare to others, and understanding that our individuality is what makes us valuable and impactful in the world. Another crucial aspect of living authentically is being honest with ourselves and others. It's easy to put on a facade, to say what we think people want to hear, or to act in ways that we believe will make us more acceptable. But when we do this, we disconnect from our true selves. Honesty doesn't mean being brutally blunt or disregarding the feelings of others, but it does mean being transparent about our thoughts, feelings, and needs. When we are honest with ourselves, we acknowledge our strengths and our weaknesses, our desires and our fears. When we are honest with others, we build trust and deeper connections. Living authentically means communicating openly, expressing our true feelings, and standing up for ourselves when necessary. It's about no longer hiding parts of ourselves out of fear of judgment or rejection. Living authentically also means setting boundaries that protect our well-being. When we are true to ourselves, we recognize that we don't have to say yes to everything, and we don't have to constantly please others. Setting healthy boundaries is an essential part of living authentically because it ensures that we have the space to take care of ourselves, to focus on what truly matters, and to avoid situations that drain or overwhelm us. Authenticity requires us to say no when necessary, to step away from relationships or situations that aren't serving us, and to prioritize our own peace and growth. By setting clear boundaries, we give ourselves the permission to live life on our own terms, without feeling obligated to meet everyone else's expectations. Living authentically also involves letting go of fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of the unknown often keep us from being our true selves. It's easy to hide behind our fears, to play it safe, and to avoid taking risks because we worry about what others will think or whether we'll succeed. But when we allow fear to control us, we stifle our potential and prevent ourselves from living fully. To live authentically, we must embrace vulnerability and take risks. We must be willing to put ourselves out there, even if it means facing rejection or failure. Authenticity is about trusting ourselves enough to take bold steps in the direction of our dreams, even when the path isn't clear or easy. It's about having the courage to try, to fail, and to grow from those experiences. Living authentically also requires us to trust our intuition. Our inner voice often knows what is best for us, but we frequently ignore it in favor of logic, external advice, or societal expectations. We might choose a path because it seems safe or popular, even if it doesn't feel right to us. However, true fulfillment comes when we listen to that inner voice, that gut feeling that guides us toward what we truly want. When we trust ourselves and our instincts, we make decisions that align with our values and desires, even if those choices are unconventional or unexpected. Living authentically means following our hearts and making decisions that resonate with who we are, rather than trying to please others or fit into a mold. To live authentically, we must also accept that not everyone will understand or support our choices. Authenticity can sometimes be uncomfortable for others, especially if they expect us to behave in certain ways or adhere to specific norms. But it's important to remember that we cannot live for others. We must live for ourselves.